Greetings, dearest people of the internet. Welcome to session 10 of Detective Notes for Cluedo, in which I probably finished the program. You never know. Last week I managed to get the card counting working. Today I want to do 3 more things and then I will be happy. First, I want to have the program highlight any cards which we know we used in the murder. And not just with the bunch of X's that it currently will do in one of the cases that we know. I want something just a little bit bigger. There are 2 possible ways we can know for sure a card is the answer. The first is if no one has the card. Obviously, so if we've seen it pass everybody and them not respond, then we know that nobody has it. The second is if we know what all the other cards in that category are. So if we know it wasn't the candlestick because someone has that, or the dagger, or the knife, or the rope, then it must have been the lead piping. So that's our trick. Secondly, I want to make it when all 3 cards are known, we declare it with an alert. And there's a reason I'm going to use an alert. That's because I want to have a mode for Piorot, which is where you don't see the table. If you've joined later, this is the table I'm talking about. You don't see this table. All you do is you add these, and the computer has to work it out. And when it finally works out, it says, yay, I've got it. And then you can compete with Piorot to complete the game. Do feel free to comment if you think of any other ways I could get information that I haven't added. Apart from that, this doesn't seem to be impossible, so let's crack on. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all the usuals. If you want to see, especially when I actually do the recording of a live playing of the game where I use these detective notes. It's taken long enough to put them together, I might as well actually use them. So, it's in our calculate table we're going to work. That's the function when we do most of the work. And then we draw the table. So, here, after we've already done all of that learning that we can do, we can now need to make a check to see. There are 2 possible conditions, I said. So let's first check for if there are any cards that nobody has. Nobody has. The second check we want to do is check for any types where all but 1 cards are known. That's our 2 main methods we need to add here. Not methods, but you know what I mean. Techniques. The first technique, any cards that nobody has. Well, this we can just loop through and look for as many falses as there are people. So we need to loop through the game for no, we need to loop through all the cards and then check all the people for that card. A little bit trickier, especially because the cards are not stored in a straightforward tidy array. They're stored in a nested array based on category. That should be okay. It's B cards. So for I is less I, not there, I is less than B cards. Yeah, that's just an array. No, it's not an array. For P in B cards. We've probably already got a P declared somewhere. For P and B cards, what are we going to do with P and B cards? we need to make something. We need to add something. The category web card for I equals 0. I is less than b cards p dot length I plus plus. So this should give us our card name. So card name equals b cards at p I. So to show you what we're looking at, let's look at b cards at the top, and here it is. So it's an object full of arrays based on these names here, and it will always look something like this. You've got an object containing different kinds of things. It's caused me no end of frustration to forget that actually objects like this don't have a length. The only ones that count in the length are the ones from that are numbered from 0 up to the first number I think you don't have. So I actually use b cards quite a lot, so that's probably not the best way to search through. Let's look at calculate tables here. And you know, if I want to be able to find this in future, I can actually give this mini thing a name and call it find nobody has. There, we can now find that directly. So once we've got that, we now need to search through all the people, and that's the game.players. And check that each one of those has false on that card. So for players is just an array, I equals 0. No, we've got I already, we'll have to use a j. J equals 0. J is less than the game.players.length. I have to admit, this got more and more hacky. There are some things that I would do very differently if I started this program again, but I'm only one thing away from finishing, so I'm not going to go and change them right now. For one, I would have made players a complete object that stored extra details about the players instead of using this as purely the array of the things they had. When I first made this, I wasn't really planning on making a complete project. It just got more and more involved. The game.players, and this will be at J, obviously, right? I have no idea what we're doing with him right now. The game.players length J++. So we've gone away through the players. Now we need to make sure it's less than 0 or not undefined. I think less than 0. I don't think undefined counts as less than 0. Let's just do a quick check on that somewhere else. So bring this up. Node.js. Oh, I thought I had that. New installs. Forget all the things you haven't got. Sudo apt get install Nodejs. Yeah, we'll have it. Let's hope it doesn't take very long. 45%, 75%. All for a simple check so I can see whether something works. Okay, Node.js undiff find is less than 0. False. Good. Right. So we're looking for something where all players are less than 0. So found equals false. No, found equals true. The reason for that is that... Who turned off the Wi-Fi? Did I? That's not like me. The reason I'm starting it true is if I find a case where it's not, I'm going to assume it's true unless I find a case where it's not true. So, if the game players J is... Aha! I'm going to use not, because if not, the game is less than 0. So we get, then we need to return found equals false. Found. In this case, found equals false. Right. And then all we need to do is if found, we need to highlight it, right? Let's have an array of things called known that we create at the beginning. Okay, so known, then known equals that. And then it's if found, then known dot push card name. That almost works, doesn't it? So in theory, anyone that has all x's should then be considered known. And then we'll console log here what known is. Console.log known. So if we come over here, Control-Shift-I, bring up the console. Oh, Control-R. New game. We'll just have 3 players. That's fine. So in theory, if I turn this to false, this to false, and this to false, we should end up with, oh, this is known here. True. Still printing known. It's an array with a length of 0. So it's not quite what we're after. I was hoping that this would find that. Three falses is what we're checking for here, isn't it? So In this case, they should all be less than 0. Let's stick out a console.log on card name. Console.log. Find nobody has plus card name. And then we refresh this, find out what the problem is. Begin. So we've got this here. If I click this, so it's got all of the cards correct. Yep. Scarlet white. Well, mustard is now false. Set that one to false as well. And then we get this array at the end which is still empty. But all of these in mustard should be less than 2. So it's definitely doing this. The game.players I'm pretty sure is the right array. Players at J. This is going to get way too many logs here, but let's stick this in. Console.log fnh colon plus. Oh yeah, we'll get the weapon first anyway, so that'll tell us we're on the right thing. Plus J plus quote plus, and then the game.players J, right? It should mostly be undefined at the moment, but when we look through the array, we'll see, and then found will become false. Okay, so we'll refresh this. New game. Syntax. Oh, something really bad has happened. Who forgot to close a bracket? New game. 3. So we've got this far. It has done a calculate table already, I think. It ought to have done a calculate table. Maybe it just did a draw table. So it should have done a calculate table here. So they're all undefined except for the ballroom. Let's get to the ballroom and see if it's got a -1. Ballroom should be the top room. Lounge or ballroom. Ah, it's an array, isn't it? No. Players J is an object. And we need to get that property at obviously card name, which we haven't actually used yet. And I'll put the same in here. This might work. Control R. New game. Begin the game. So now we've got the array. Let's hit false and see what we get now for mustard. So if we look back in our logs, Need a bit more space to see this. There we are. Definitely clicking on that drag. Never mind. Undefined, undefined. Well, we're getting the right kind of answers here. Undefined, undefined, undefined. Where's mustard? Higher than that. There's the array. Scarlet, white, mustard, undefined, undefined. Aha! But it only output it didn't even... That's funny. I put this console log in the wrong place. We don't even need this console log anymore. It's got the right answer. So let's get rid of this line. And see what the known said at the bottom. It still didn't fill it out correctly. Oh! That was silly of me. That's where you need to use the squiggly braces more often. It's a better habit, because I didn't use the squiggly braces, and so I never turned off the found. But if that should have meant that the array filled up with absolutely everybody. Oh well, let's try it again. See what we get. Control R. New game. Begin game. No, we don't have the array. Pull this up. We've got all of these. Our array of knowns is... Yep, that's right, because we don't actually know any yet. But at this point here, our array should say, we know it's green. Progress. We know it's green. So, that first part is correct. So now, check for any types where all but one card is known. This one's going to be a bit tricky too, I think. For P in B cards, I think we have to do it the same way again. Now our core loop now is within each of these, but it's the same basic principle. So trues, no. I'll make that variable in a second when I know what it's for. For I equals 0, I is less than B cards, P dot length I plus plus. Now actually we're going to have to run through each of these together. So this is actually going to be quite a bit of work to do. For I is 0. Oh, forget that. I'm trying to count through B cards. So I'll need a card name again. Card name equals B cards P I. And we're definitely going to need to go through the people again. For J equals 0, J is less than the game dot players dot length and a J plus plus. And here is where our code differs significantly. We're now looking for a truth. This almost feels like it wants to go in a separate function because I want to be able to return each time here. Because I don't need to go through the whole function as soon as I find 2 cards that are true. So it seems like it would almost be easier to have a little function but I can't see this function being called anywhere else. So I'm going to declare it here. No, under this thing here. There. And this is known C equals func. And the reason I'm including this here is because it's an internal function. This is only to solve a small problem internally to the code. The things I'm going to need are, no, not a card name. I'm going to need yeah, I'm going to need this card type here. So I'm going to take an array of cards. That's the first thing, C array. The next thing I'm going to take is I think that's everything I need. And then what we'll do is we'll call res equals known C on B cards P, and we'll work with that res in a minute. That could either be false or it could be the card we're looking for. So we'll get rid of that, put that all in here. So in this case, we're looking for a false. If we've got more than 2 cards that we don't have a true in, we can break this function. So in here we need a true at, and that will currently be -1. And this is a local variable. Keep it in this scope, that's safer. I'll keep this in the scope too. It's no longer B cards P, this is now C array. And this is C array as well. And so in the case, let's leave that as undefined actually. And the case that we're looking for now is if we find, oh no, it's not, it's actually an unknown at, isn't it? The trues are the ones we carry on from. It's the ones where we don't get a true. If we get 2 cards where we don't get a true, then we're a thing. So this is actually a false at. Unknown at. And if we've got 2 unknowns, then we need to return because we don't have any real information. So how do we check if one is unknown? Let's have a new var. unknown found. Nope. It's just a true found, really, isn't it? If we find any true, then we've got it sorted. So we'll have true found and we'll set it to false. T found equals false. And in here, if T found is false, that's a good thing. We're looking at the game.players. If the game.players I and then its card name is greater than 0, then we have a T found. So, and if we have a T found, no, if T found is false, then unknown at becomes this. If T found equals if not T found. That means if we haven't found it, then we've got two things that could be true. Either we set if unknown at equals does not equal undefined. In this case, we will return false. That is to say, we haven't managed to work this out. And there's a bracket missing there, isn't there? And the other case, which is now anything else. Oh yeah, and the other case, unknown at equals card name. That way we can either return the card name that we know it is, and the case here, the final case for our function to return is it finishes the loop, and it'll only finish the loop if we get it. Well, in theory, we shouldn't be able to finish the loop with unknown at will be undefined. If unknown at is undefined at the end of the loop, then that means we've got all of them marked as true. So we've actually got an error. If unknown at unknown at equals undefined, console.log known too many trues in type. We should be able to test this as well. Semicolon. Return unknown at. Because there should only be one unknown at, and so that will be the function's result. And in this case, we get that. So if not res, we've got no answer. No. If res, the only time we want to do anything is if we know what res is. Known dot push res. Okay. And now let's move our console log of known C. Let's get rid of the console log up here. We'll copy this one. We'll move it down before draw table. And in a second we'll make that so that it displays nicely. Okay, so let's refresh this and find all of our errors. Syntax error. Where's this to? Line 401. Well, let's try it. 401. Oh, too much Golang. Function. There we go. Right, that gets rid of that syntax error. Begin. So in theory, if I mark this goes true, this goes true, we've got nothing in known, this goes true, this goes true, and this goes true, we get a type error. $408. So that's here, and that's because I wrote I where I meant to write J. How silly. Let's try this again. Begin the game. Same basic principle. In theory, we fill out this guy is true, this guy's true, this guy's true, this guy's true, and this guy's true. And now we know it's mustard. Okay, so we seem to have achieved our aim. Or at least for the first part of this session, our known array now exists. Been calculated peacefully, and at the end of this let's put, instead of console.log known, the game.known equals known. Now when we do our draw table, we can check and maybe highlight the name to say we know which one it is. So here's our draw table function. Now, does JavaScript have a nice tidy contains for an array? Let's just do a quick JS contains. It probably does, doesn't it? Oh yeah, I'm not online. Why am I not online? Who turned off wireless? I saw it get turned off earlier and I didn't quite work out why. It didn't bother me that much till just now. How to check if one string... No, I don't want string contains, I want array contains. JS array contains. How do I check if an array contains? Do I need to write the loop, or can I do this? Honestly, by the time I search this out, I'm probably going to have a nice loop. jQuery offers in array. I'm not using jQuery. Forget it. It will take me 2 seconds to write a contains function, but I want to put it as a simple function because, you know, not quite sure what happened to my syntax here. Does this when I scroll up too much? Message contains card select. We're kind of in the right range. I just want the plain functions at the top. Merge string arrays, for example, is a nice plain function, I think. So function AR contains AR S. Okay. So for P, this didn't even need to be a new function. I could have just done it in the place. For P equals P in AR, if AR at P equals S, return true. Otherwise we return false. That should be safe. Okay, so back to where we were with find. No, oh no, it's draw table now we're in. Draw table. Function draw table, that's probably a good place to be. This syntax highlighting is going to drive me a bit crazy. Oh, and the fans have come on. That's okay. T in a HTML draw table. It's all there, isn't it? No, I'm not in the right place. I'm just got to find the place in this code that makes sense of create element nut val inner HTML I assert fact. What is going on here? Oh. Var aref document.create element A. So that's our link. Here we go. Var card name equals thing. td.inner HTML equals card name. Brilliant. Now here's the thing. All we need to do is if the game dot if AR contains, it was lowercase AR, wasn't it? AR contains the game dot known card name td dot inner HTML equals let's lazily throw in a bold plus card name plus semicolon. There we go. So either we set its inner HTML to just the card name, or if it happens to be a known card, then we bold it. That probably does what we want. Let's check if that's how it works over here. Control R, new game. What? New game dialog is not defined. Did I mess something up here? Oh, yeah, here we are. Close parenth. Control R. New game. Begin. Pull this down. So in theory, if I mark this as false, false, and false, we now get that as bold. Good, that worked. The other option is, of course, if I mark this as true, this is true, this is true, this is true, and this is true. Mustard now gets bold. So we have found our place to put in that correction. So the only thing to add now is Piorot mode. That's got to be doable in a few minutes, hasn't it? How long have I been going? A little while. Just hide the table. Let's do it on all three known. We get the alert. Now, I'm going to have to save this for another time. So close.